Well, hello, Queens. I'm back. Jesus Christ. It's been a long time. I'm back here with my buddy, and with my other buddy, and with my whole crew. And yeah, so today I actually want to talk about ADHD medication because yesterday I tried to record an episode and I tried to talk about like this whole uncertainty when you're growing up and when you feel like you got to figure out your life and then you come back from traveling and you're just like, oh my god, this is so like scary. But then I realized I don't actually have like advice on that topic because I don't have any idea what I'm doing right now. I have literally no clue. And yeah, so I was like, maybe I'm just not ready to talk about stuff where I haven't figured it out yet. So I thought there's another topic that's quite important for me, and that's actually ADHD medication. Because the experience with ADHD medication has been quite intense for me. And I thought, okay, I might as well share this. And yeah, whoever is like thinking about taking ADHD medication, who is taking ADHD medication or whatsoever, yeah, maybe this helps. So yeah, let's start when I started taking it. So I got my diagnosis. And at that time, I was like really struggling with like studying, and I had my final exams. And I was like really exhausted all the time, was really struggling with, yeah, just sitting down, just like basically just getting up. I was like, oh my God, I have to go to work and this kind of stuff. And there was a lot of like drama going on in my family and everything. And yeah, then I got my diagnosis, and the doctor was like, yeah, well, that explains a lot that you get like how do you say, like super exhausted from like small events in your life, which are like kind of, I mean, they're big, but every time something like was weird in my life, I kind of just got like 2 weeks of a burnout. So yeah, and then I started taking the ADHD medication. I was like, wow, I can do this life. This is amazing. I got up in the morning, took my ADHD meds, then I started cleaning my room, started studying, or if I had to go to work, I went to work. I did all my stuff. I was like super high energy, and I was like, well, finally, finally. And that went like, for me, it was amazing for like 2 months. No, longer. Half a year, I guess. And then I started like university, like studying. And then this whole thing kind of got a bit weird. So I started studying, and like, how do you say studying? Or do you say, yeah, it doesn't matter. I think you know what I mean. Like, I started at university and met some people and like did my thing. And yeah, then the first like exams came up and I got super stressed out. I was like, oh my God, if I'm able to like study now, like actually sit down and do stuff and concentrate, and like even if I'm not interested in that topic, I'm able to do it. Like, I did it, but I got so stressed out. I started smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day, and yeah, then after my first like semester where I like wrote all the exams, I was super exhausted, but I didn't realize that I was super exhausted because I was still on my ADHD meds. So I kept taking them, but I also like drank a lot, went out a lot, smoked a lot, and I could feel every time in the morning when I woke up, I could feel that I'm so exhausted. But as soon as my medication kicked in, I was like, okay, no, we got this. Let's go. We can do this. And then, yeah, I don't know. I kind of spiraled. Like, it was just like I didn't have any energy in the morning. Then I got up, took my ADHD medication, and then at some point I wasn't even able to do the things that were usually like without medication not fun for me anymore. So I kind of just sat at my window, smoked like 20 cigarettes. That's also a thing I experienced like with my ADHD medication, because I was craving cigarettes all freaking day, and started playing Clash Royale for hours, especially when I was like on my semester break. And then I had to work 2 times a week and stuff. I managed all that, but like still, every time I didn't have to go out, like I was just sitting there and playing Clash Royale, and I was so addicted. Like I was hyper focused on that freaking game. Um, and then, yeah. Oh, no. And it kind of started going downhill, like, because also with the drinking, the problem is for me was, I realized I can drink so much more with the ADHD medication, but I don't feel like the need to eat something. So I didn't eat the whole day. Then I started drinking. Then the medication wore off. Then I got super hungry or was super drunk. And then I went to bed, was super hungover the next day. The medication for me kind of cured the hangover the next day. So I just took it. I got a super like high pulse. And yeah, that's how basically it all started going downhill. And then, yeah, my second semester came up, and then yeah, the exams came up again, and I was also already not in a good place. Like I was crying a lot in the evening. I was always like super exhausted. As soon as the medication wore off, I was like, oh my god, I can't do this. And then I started like eating so much, like to feel, like that's like a compensation for me. Sometimes I just eat to feel better. And at that time, my boyfriend was like really trying to be there for me, but like it was super difficult because I didn't realize that I just needed to calm down and take some time off. But I just couldn't, because I was like, no, I finally figured out after all these years what my problem is. And now, if this doesn't work, what happens then? What happens if I stop taking the medication and I just like don't function anymore? So I kind of got stuck in this whole like toxic circle I built basically for myself. And yeah, I feel like it got even worse when like I finished my second semester, and then my boyfriend at that time and I broke up. And I was just like, okay, yeah. And then, yeah, I was on my semester break. I was drinking a lot. I have to say that because, like, that's just my personal view, or like how I handled the medication. Like, it's just not like it. I feel like the medication definitely makes you want to smoke more, but like not drinking. But I feel like I started drinking because I didn't realize that I needed to calm down, and then it helped. But like that's not an excuse, or that's not like me saying drinking is a good thing whatsoever. But yeah, and then I started drinking a lot, and yeah, I was already struggling with like a really high pulse, high blood pressure, feeling stressed out all the time. I couldn't sleep anymore. And yeah, my energy was still going like down, and I was like, no, no, I need to keep up. I need to keep up. And yeah, then I basically had my first panic attack. And I was like, whoa, that's scary. Um, and I like went to the hospital. I called like the ambulance, and I was like, okay, can you please come and pick me up because I think I'm dying right now. I mean, I didn't say it as calmly as I did, but still. And yeah, then I was in the hospital, and everyone was like, yeah, well, you just have a panic attack, like, because I was sitting there and I had to wait for 2 hours, and I was like in this panic attack state, like everything was shaking, my hands were cramping up, and like my chest was like this, and they were like, yeah, sorry, we can't do anything for you because you're just having a panic attack. And I was like, well, that's crazy. And then my whole like journey with taking ADHD meds stopped because I was like, maybe they're the reason that, yeah, I'm not able to slow down and process my emotions and process and like I'm not able to listen to my body anymore. Yeah. So that was just a quick insight of my like whole taking ADHD meds journey. And yeah, what I want to talk about is like how my perspective is after like I think 1.5 years of not taking any ADHD meds, is like how my perspective is, what I think, if it has helped me or not. And yeah, I thought it might help if I give you the backstory. So, in conclusion, I can say, or what I want to say is like, it really for sure helped me with studying. That's a good thing. And I also think like it's a really good and interesting experience that you feel like you actually have, like, that you feel more stable, you know? Your energy doesn't come in waves. So, what I experienced is that I got up in the morning and I was feeling super like, do you say steady? I don't know. The whole day, you know, no like no crashing out, nothing. But as soon as the medication wore off, at some point it was kind of difficult for me. But in the beginning, when I was still like in a good place, or like kind of in a good place, I didn't have these crash outs in the evening. Um I still like struggled so much with eating because like food literally disgusted me. I struggled with smoking because I was smoking a lot, and I didn't like, yeah, it kind of was uncomfortable for me. And also, what I struggled with, or like, as soon as I got like locked in and studied, there was no like approaching me. I was like, if you wanted to talk to me, I was like, no, sorry. And I got super hyper focused on one thing. And sometimes I also got lost in a weird hyper focus. So I was studying for my exams, and then I was like, "Well, that's interesting." And then I got zoomed in there, and it wasn't even relevant for the exam. But still, like, that's the aspects that really helped me. But and I didn't struggle with sleeping at all. Actually, I could just do a nap while I was still on the medication, because some people are like, okay, it gets you like really hyped up. And for me, I didn't feel like this at all. I could sleep easily. But then, as I said, after half a year, the whole like how the medication made me feel kind of changed. Because, okay, I'm gonna tell you how it like changed for me, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think it is. So, as soon as I started studying, and also already started before that, I was like feeling quite exhausted because after my graduation, I didn't really take a rest. I just kept going out, like really enjoying the high energy because that's something I've been craving my whole life, just to have like energy and not like wake up every morning and have to figure out how I actually feel and if I have any energy left and whatsoever. So I kept going out, but I could feel like, especially in the evening when we went for dinner or when we like just stayed at home and cooked and people were around, I was like already super overstimulated, and then this overstimulation kicked in and I wasn't feeling very good. And I felt like there was no escape for me because everyone was around, and I kind of felt like I started to be like a bit bitchy and like angry, and like I was pissed off because we always had like people around, and I couldn't really take a rest, but I also didn't want to, so I kind of got stuck in that. And then yeah, I started studying, and then this whole studying thing got like made it even worse because it was like, well, I can study now, but like sitting there in a room full of people and just listening to one person for like 8 hours a day actually sucks. I freaking hate it. And yeah, and that's what changed. So just because I was on ADHD meds didn't mean studying was fun for me. And I didn't like want that to be true at all. I was like, no, you can do this. Like everybody's studying now, you study as well, you can do it now. But I didn't listen to my body telling me like, no, it's still not fun for you, even if you can do it. Then the same thing that changed is like the evenings. So when the medication wore off, I got super exhausted. It was super like, I got super hungry because I didn't eat all day. And I usually started crying because I was like, I wasn't feeling like super balanced. I wasn't feeling balanced at all. And yeah, and I was crying a lot. And then at some point I felt like, okay, I don't get my life together anymore. I was working, studying, doing everything I can perfectly, but you know, you can just feel it in your body when something's wrong. You're super stressed all the time. You're like, I wasn't able to sleep anymore. I slept like 5 6 hours a night. I was crying in the evening. My energy level was like still kind of steady, but like in a different way. Like what changed is my productivity. So maybe it's easier to explain it that way. Actually, when I started taking the ADHD medication, I used this energy I got from the medication to actually be productive. But after some time, that wore off, and I started like being super high energy, but like in playing Clash Royale, smoking cigarettes, and yeah, I kind of got stuck in this energy. You know, I couldn't figure out a way anymore to release that energy and to like let it flow and let it be free because everything was like too exhausting. I didn't want to study anymore. I didn't want to clean my room anymore. I didn't want to do any of the things that I wasn't able to do before. Like before I took the medication, I didn't like I'm the messiest person you'll ever meet. But in a good way. Like I'm not dirty, but like I know where my stuff is. Okay. I know where my stuff is, but still it's quite messy. Then I hate studying, except for when it's like super interesting. Then I'm just locked in, and yeah, sometimes I just don't feel like going outside because I'm like, no, I just want to lay in my bed, stare at my wall, and chill. And these kind of things started showing up while I was on my medication, but I was still super high energy. So I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't have like I wasn't able to channel this energy anymore. And that was so draining. And I feel like that's where my whole like high blood pressure, high pulse, smoking 10 million cigarettes a day thing started. And the drinking started because I was like, okay, when I drink, I actually calm down. And also, like, what else? Like, also, like, the first anxiety signs started showing up. So, when I was, for example, in the subway or something, and I couldn't put my head somewhere where, like, as soon as my neck was free and someone was sitting behind me, I was freaking out because I was like, what if he stabs me? And I started getting these weird thoughts, and then at some point I also couldn't sleep by myself anymore. And yeah, I got super anxious. Drinking helped me to calm down. I didn't want to stop taking the medication because I was like, what if I don't have energy left at all anymore? Because having no energy, like having these burnout symptoms, like maybe that's a fact you need to know about me, is something I've been struggling with my whole life. And every time I got to that place, I was super depressed. I was like, okay, I'll never be able to recover from that. And like this state in my mind is connected to the fact that I'm depressed and that I'm not ever going to be able to handle life. And yeah, so that's what kind of changed for me with ADHD medication. I wasn't able to be productive anymore. It didn't serve me anymore. Like, it didn't help me anymore. It was just like super high energy, but at the same time, I couldn't let go. And yeah, I feel like that's basically it with what changed. And now, after a year and a half of not taking it, I have to say that I think it's not for me. Because I realized I actually love my ADHD. But I feel like this whole meds journey made me also realize that. Because I've been struggling with my medication my whole life. I had to take like antidepressants, and like medication to sleep and everything. And I always like internally was like so against it. But like with ADHD medication in the beginning, I wasn't, because like it actually had such a big impact on my life in a positive way in the beginning. But I have to say, like, I feel like ADHD medication kind of sends the signal that having ADHD is like a sickness, or that like something's wrong with us. And I really like, that's just not true. It isn't. It isn't at all. It's just like we function in a different way. Our brain works in a different way, and that's totally okay. So when I have, for example, these high energy days by myself, I probably am able to get work done. Some people won't be able to get done in a week, but then the rest of the 6 days, I'm just laying in my bed and enjoying my life. And I grew up with this belief, or like maybe I made myself believe that you have to be like this high energy level every day, because that's how you perform, that's how you get like better, that's how you get like a good life or whatsoever. And I realized actually no, it's okay to just go with the flow and see what you feel like when you wake up. And I also have like episodes like of 3 months where I'm super high energy and I can just like do whatever I want because I'm doing something I love. But then after 3 months I have to rest. Like I still do stuff. It's not like I'm not doing anything more anymore. It's just like my energy level can change so quickly, and I realized I'm actually okay with that, and I'm actually really happy about that because the ADHD medication made me feel like, no, I have to perform like this every day. And I think it's humanly just not possible. And yeah, I realized I should focus more on like learning how to calm down and how to give my body the sign that it can rest now, and my brain, especially my brain. And that's still like a super difficult journey for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like calming down with ADHD is just not fun at all, especially when you have like this whole idea and this vision, but you just physically don't have the energy and you're like, I feel so stuck. Oh my God. It's a like such a like, it's not a great feeling, but still it's like I know that I need it and I'm doing the right thing in that moment. And yeah, that's just the way I am. And also, what came back after I started taking my after I stopped taking the medication is actually, I see these Instagram reels and all these TikToks like, what if I lose my spark when I take ADHD medication? And then there's like the spark in question. And you see this like, they still have like hundreds of open, oh no, I don't know how to say it, but like they have like so many emails I have to reply to, so many messages they have to reply to. I see this messy room. I see like, yeah, a messy kitchen, all these pictures. And I'm like, yeah, but what's wrong with that? I don't know if I'm like super delusional, but I don't think that's like a bad thing because, even though I'm in my chaos, sometimes I just like get up and start painting or do something super creative. And I was missing that while I was on my ADHD medication, or I had like this super nice vision for like a nice yoga class, or I don't know, I just got up and I was like, whoa, I need to find the best croissant in Berlin City. And this kind of stuff. And I kind of lost that when I was on my ADHD medication. I was like, well, it's nice to have a clean room, of course. And it's nice to like feel a bit more stable, but it's also nice to be just the way I am. And yeah, and to wrap this up is I actually started to change my environment, and I started to adjust my life around my ADHD and not me around like the life everybody is living. So I work so much better in a coffee shop as a yoga teacher, in a restaurant, or like especially when it comes to talking, doing this, than sitting in an office in front of a laptop all day and just sitting. That's like the most exhausting work like I could do, and that's why I got sad and depressed, and that's why I lost my spark. And when I started like doing stuff I actually enjoy, I didn't have like these big mood and energy swings anymore. And if I did, like, I started to build a routine, what I should do. Like, I tried to do some yoga, or like sometimes I just like try to stare at a wall or cook something. And sometimes I also get lost, like just watching reels all day. And it's like still not a good thing, but I feel like I'm so much more centered. And I'm also so much more like proud of myself because I'm actually happy the way I am. And there's nothing wrong with me. And I don't get out about my room being messy anymore. I'm just like, everybody who knows me is like, you're always welcome. But if you have a problem with that, we're going to meet at your place. Um, and yeah, I kind of just like started listening to what I need and not like what everybody else is capable of. And with a lot of effort, I'm sure I could study and finish university or do an office job, but it wouldn't make me happy. And I realized that this is totally okay and that the life you like vision for yourself may not be the life you're actually good at or which is actually fun for you. And that was like a big journey for me to let that idea go and just be like, okay, no, I'm not an office queen. I'm just not. I'm like a yapper and I have to make a living. I'm like, I have to figure out how to make money of that. Um, and yeah, that was like my whole experience with ADHD medication. And still, I want to say, like, if it feels right for you and if you feel like that's the right thing for you, definitely, like, if you talk to a doctor, everything, definitely keep doing this. And there's also some people who just like have these like office days and just take the medication on these days and just like get everything done and are super locked in. And I feel like that's also like a good um solution, I just had the or I just felt the need to share that, like, how your brain works is not like that. That's you're not sick. It's not like something's wrong with your brain. It's like you grew up with the wrong beliefs probably, and you grew up with the wrong environment. And it's if you want to stay in that environment and if you want to like live in that, maybe it helps definitely. But if you choose like not to live in this environment and not and like create your own like life, which actually is a great fit for you and the way you think, your ADHD starts to change. And I really believe that, especially after like traveling in Sri Lanka for such a long time. I realized like I feel like this was like like traveling, you meet so many, especially girls with ADHD, and we were this whole like ADHD crew. It was so much fun. We had these crazy ideas, and I realized, wow, I can actually be happy with the way I am if I don't have energy and just want to lay in bed, watch Sex in the City all day, and then the next morning I just get up and I'm like, okay, guys, let's go for breakfast, and then you just meet them or you don't meet them because they're in a different level, but like there's definitely a life you can create which is like fits to your way of thinking. And that's all I wanted to say. And I wanted to share the experience as well, just for you to know if it could work for you, if it could not work for you, or maybe to compare whatsoever. Because some people also get like super chill, and I feel like everybody has to make their own experience and like figure it out for themselves, as always. Um, it's like the only thing I wanted to share is like the way you think is not wrong or like super different, like maybe different or a neurotypical person, but like there's so many of us, so we could also be like the normal, just saying maybe we're the normal ones, you know? And yeah, I think you should do what's right for you. Try it, figure out, don't try it, whatever feels right. And yeah, but always keep in mind the way you think is like awesome. You're awesome. You're amazing. And you're doing great. And if your room is messy, if you have struggle opening up your I don't know the word, like opening up your emails, opening up your messages, that's okay. Just remember there's gonna come one day where you're gonna reply to all of them and you're gonna be so proud, and then they're gonna answer all, everyone's gonna answer right away, and you're like, okay, well, that's the thing for next week, but that's okay. That's so okay. And then you're super like reliable and like quick in different topics, and you just have to remember that and make sure. Yeah, you know that you're great. And the way you think is also great. So, um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say now. Um, and yeah, keep being messy, keep trying new stuff, try a new hobby every week. Something you'll like. I always come back to my hobbies. Started painting, didn't paint for a month, and then I painted again. It's like it's chaos, but it's a good chaos. It's fun chaos. That's why people like to have us around, because we're like fun and entertaining and good-hearted. I mean, I hope we are. I hope I am. But yeah, that's all I have to say. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. It was so much fun to record an episode again. I really hope I'll keep doing it and I'll be consistent again. And yeah, hopefully see you next week. I hope I have figured out what I want to do with my life by then. I don't think I will, but that's totally okay. But it doesn't feel okay. And maybe I'll be in Portugal or something. I have no idea, but we'll make it work. And yeah, love you guys. Thank you for supporting me. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can always do that. My name is Becky Bobble Podcast. And yeah, that's it for today. Love you guys. And see you next week, Wednesday.